Hi everyone, this is Caroline Speaks, The State of Our World on Monday, March 8th, 2021. So what is it, good, bad, or indifferent? Well, all three, again. The coronavirus is still with us. We have people still are protesting having to wear a mask and do social distancing and only go out when they have to. And they're also, a lot of people just don't want to take that vaccine. So, what is that all about? I don't know. Let's see if maybe we can find out. Now, someone who's been in the news, uh, Berta Caceres, Caceres. She is a Honduran citizen. She's from Honduras. She was a Honduran environmental activist, indigenous leader, and co founder and coordinator of the Council of Popular and Indigenous Organizations of Honduras. Uh, now, she won the Goldman Environmental Prize in 2015 for a grassroots campaign that successfully pressured the world's largest dam builder to pull out of the Agua Zarcia Dam at the Rio Gualcarque. She was assassinated in her home by armed intruders after years of threats against her life. A former soldier with the U.S. trained special forces units of the Honduran military asserted that Caceres' name was on their hit list months before her assassination. As of February 2017, three of the eight arrested people were linked to the U.S. trained elite military troops. Two have been trained at Fort Benning, Georgia, USA, the former School of the Americas, linked to thousands of murders and human rights violations in Latin America by its graduates. In November 2017, a team of international legal experts released a report finding willful negligence by financial institutions. For example, the Central American Bank for Economic Integration, the Netherlands Development Finance Institution, and the FinFund pursued a strategy with shareholders, executives, managers, and employees of DESA, private security companies working for DESA, public officials, and state security agencies to control, neutralize, and eliminate any opposition. 12 environmental activists were killed in Honduras in 2014, according to research by Global Witness, making it the most dangerous country in the world relative to its size for activists protecting forests and rivers. Berta Caceres' murder was followed by those of two more activists within the same month. Now, so she was murdered on March 2nd, 2016, and in Honduras, uh, because of her activities to protect the environment, to protect her land, protect her homeland and her people. Now, it's um, student activists co-founded the Council of Popular and Indigenous Organizations of Honduras, an organization to support indigenous people's rights in Honduras. She led campaigns on a wide variety of issues, including protesting illegal logging, plantation owners, and the presence of U.S. military bases on their land. She supported feminism, LGBT rights, as well as wider social and indigenous issues. Um, Now, she is very important um, to the indigenous peoples of the world. And the developers who wanted to build this dam, uh, they uh, breached international law by failing to consult with the local people on the project. The Lenca people were concerned that the dam's would compromise their access to water, food, and materials for medicine, and therefore threaten their traditional way of life. Caceres worked together with the community to mount a protest campaign. She organized legal actions and community meetings against the project and took the case to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. So, it's they were successful in getting this dam um, ended. It wasn't even uh, threats against her life. Now, she was successful in preventing the dam from being built. Now, I mentioned before that the people who murdered her were trained at the School of the Americas in Fort Benning, Georgia. Uh, I call School of Americas, I call it School of the Assassins. This was an organization um, set up in Georgia to train the current, past, and the past, current, and future dictators of Latin America. And the idea was to keep Latin America there for the corporations who wanted to take their resources. And Berta Caceres was a very brave person, very brave woman who fought them. And her name is now famous with indigenous rights. So we have to honor her life and respect the work that she has done. Now, this is also today, March 8th, marks International Women's Day. And International Women's Day is a very important day, and the coronavirus pandemic deepens inequality and violence around the world. The Violence Against Women Act that we passed in this country really is needed on a worldwide level. So we must honor all women who work very hard for their families and their countries and for all of us. Now, so Berta Caceres is a very important person for International Women's Day. Okay, now, I don't know how many of you remember, but when the Iraq, the okay, in 2001, America was attacked by people flying planes into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and other places. And at that time, George Bush was our president, and they set up a camp in Guantanamo Bay over Cuba to house prisoners, people who they arrested for being supporters and participants in the attack on America on September 11th, 2001. And that's still open. There's been people are trying to get it closed, but can't seem to get it done yet. Now, there's an innocent man who was held at Guantanamo for 14 years without a charge. Very, very bad situation. So we really need to close this prison because it gives the United States a bad name in all over the world. And it's a good recruiting tool for, terrorists and people like that. Then, so we want to mark International Women's Day today and protect women and end inequality and end the violence against women. We also want to close the Guantanamo jail, and there is the man who was held at Guantanamo for 14 years. A film was made about him and his struggles called the Mauritanian Film. Tells the story of innocent man held at Guantanamo for 14 years without charge. So that's something that people should be interested in knowing about. Now, so we've covered International Women's Day, we've covered Guantanamo, and we've covered Berta Caceres briefly. Now, yesterday was the anniversary of what they call Bloody Sunday in Alabama when people tried to cross a bridge to go to register to vote, and then state troopers turned them back and beat them up and to commit a lot of acts of violence against these people. And I don't know if they actually killed anyone, but they did beat a lot of people, including congressmen from Alabama at the time, who recently passed away from cancer. And John Lewis is his name. He was a strong fighter for civil rights. Now, the attack on the people crossing a bridge in Alabama was a way of galvanizing the people and getting more support. It led to the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. There were other things that happened before them, like the Freedom Riders in 1961, who tried to integrate the inter inter uh, interstate travel on buses, and they were successful. Now what happened on the bridge in on March of 1965 was it was featured in the news all over the world. And so anyway, we did get the Civil Rights Act. We got the Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act has to be uh, renewed, and that's what we're trying to do. The Congress did pass something, the House, and working on getting the Senate to approve it as well. So there's a lot of things happening in the world, and you have to treat people as you wish to be treated. So we have International Women's Day. We have Guantanamo still open and prisoning people. We still have problems with voting rights in this country, especially after various states um, helped to elect President Joe Biden. So it's time to, do something to help people. Now, what else is new here? Now, the place I talked about in Fort Benning, Georgia, School of Americas, where they have trained past, current, and former dictators of Latin America for the benefit of the various corporations who want to use the resources of these countries. That school should be shut down, and it is really an embarrassment to have it in our shores. It kind of goes with the way people think of our country. It's supposed to be a beacon for freedom and opportunity, but that school is not doing that. And the countries where whose leaders they have and continue to educate are the countries that have very poor human rights records. And right now, the Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador have the worst human rights records. People are treated terribly, and that's why we have all these people who are trying to come here to escape the violence. And we're supporting that violence by training their leaders, and then also we're supporting that violence by giving aid to the dictators, supporting coups in some of these countries that go against the people. So we really have to change that. Now, the virus still with us. It's an equal opportunity virus. So you have to wear that mask. Only go out when you have to. Practice social distancing. Only socialize with those in your immediate household. It's very important. Another item in the news is back when we had in 1971 the FBI was run by someone called Hoover, who provided surveillance and obstruction of various groups that were trying to create a better country for their people. And in 1971, there was a burglary at the FBI that exposed this Hoover-led group in the FBI that targeted people who were trying to do good things, like the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. They also target a lot of uh, black-led groups like the Black Panthers. They the FBI participated in the assassination of various black leaders who they thought were this threat to our country. But no one really cared about the people that these leaders were trying to help and lift out of poverty, and so it was. So they had a bunch of activists that went to the FBI, an FBI facility, I believe in Pennsylvania, and they found all kind of documents and everything. Now they never found the burglars, but they were successful in making some changes. The Vietnam War was reigning. People were protesting that war. In the Vietnam War, if you were drafted, you had a good chance of going to Vietnam. And a lot of people who went to Vietnam were poor people and black people and brown people, anyone who could get out of being in the draft. If you're a full-time student or a part-time student, you can get out of the draft, even though you had no interest in getting an education. So it was a very tough time. A lot of people died in the Vietnam War. We destroyed a country of Vietnam, which was a former colony of France. And after World War II, after being occupied by the Germans, France refused to give up their colonies. And the people of Vietnam, which had been divided into North and South Vietnam, North was the communist side, South Vietnam was the western side, and so-called democratic side. So anyway, these people were fighting for their country and their land, and it was a war that couldn't be won. It was a war that started after World War II and the atrocities that Japan committed against the Asian countries, Asian people. Um, the people of Vietnam and other countries like Cambodia and Thailand, they wanted something better. And the occupying powers, in this case France, refused to give them up until they were forced to. So, so Vietnam did win the war. The United States and their allies lost that war, and then Vietnam has kind of got reconstructed. But that was a war to fight communism. But these people in these countries in Asia, they were Southeast Asia, they're very poor people. They didn't have anything, and someone came along and they couldn't get rid of their occupiers. In this case, the French, and someone had something better to offer, so they went along with it for a little while anyway. But just like the Russians went along with Stalin and Hitler, well, Stalin and Trotsky and Lenin, they thought to get something better than the Tsar. So anyway, so a lot of the burglary occurred at the FBI. Was meant to change things. We did get out of the Vietnam War. That's when Lyndon Johnson was running. He ran for re-election. He decided not to run. And we've got Richard. That was Lyndon Johnson who decided not to run. We ended up with Nixon, who was negotiating secretly with the North Vietnamese, said that he can get them a better deal, so don't negotiate with Johnson, and they listened, and that extended the war. And in addition to extending the war, it also killed a lot more people on all sides. The Vietnamese people really suffered. They lost a lot of people, and their country was destroyed. So, okay, now, so what else are we going to talk about today? Well, I think maybe it's time for a little break. On a lighter note, maybe so that was a lot of news for today. How about a little music? The song I like to sing today is called, okay, what would I like to sing? I like to sing, I Believe. It's a very old song. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know all the verses, so let's give it a try. I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf or see the sky. Then I know why I believe. Okay, that was I Believe. Hope you liked it. Thank you for listening this evening of March 8th, 2021, to another meeting of Carolyn Speaks the State of the World. Hope you'll be back with us again tomorrow evening. Stay safe, take care of yourself and others. Wear that mask, only that when you have to. Practice social distancing and only socialize with those in your immediate household. And remember, kindness goes a long way. Kindness goes a